I'm afraid time is marching on. So what I'm going to do is a very sort of 30-second wrap, because you've all heard each other. We're starting with Nikki and working down on just a quick wrap on where we are at.
I love the idea of a city where 1,000 flowers bloom. I think that encapsulates the idea of the opportunities that are there. Perhaps planting a garden takes a bit of a challenge, and I think that's what we're all up for. So I look forward to that.
John?
I'm taken by the idea of an enabling bureaucracy and working closely with the City Council to set up future structures for the next phase of recovery that enable those 1,000 flowers to bloom.
Thank you, Ian.
My media team tell me never to kick anybody who buys ink by the barrel, so Joanna, you're safe, that's fine. Just to put some of those numbers into context, so to Joanna's point, I cringe at some of the way that we've treated some of our customers through this event, and that's my promise that for the next one, we'll be a much better EQC to deal with. In the macro sense, though, in terms of what insurance has done for New Zealand and for Christchurch, as Peter pointed out, this event, 15% of GDP, of New Zealand GDP, was wiped out by the Christchurch earthquakes, 80% covered by insurance. Japanese earthquake and tsunami of 2011, 3 to 4% of Japanese GDP, 300 billion US, but 3 to 4% of GDP, 15% covered by insurance. Northridge earthquake in the States back in the 90s, 5% covered by insurance, fraction of GDP, tiny fraction. Haiti, over 100% of GDP wiped out by the earthquake, 0% covered by insurance. So yes, we all need to learn and do better next time, but at a macro level, the coverage in New Zealand has been absolutely vital to the recovery from this earthquake.
Rafe?
Yeah, thanks. Enabling bureaucracies, that's a good one. But I think that's the challenge for the council, is to become an enabling organisation. I think already in the last 6 months, I'm seeing a lot of changes in that direction. The culture feels very different. There's a different atmosphere there, and I think this is just the start of that process. I think we know. This is going to be a city, I think, of innovation, of creativity, a city actually built by the community, built by entrepreneurs, and we'll never get a better chance to show what participatory democracy actually looks like. Pushing decision making down to the community level, pushing budgeting and delivery of projects down to the community level. It's starting. It's not always going to work brilliantly at the beginning, but that's the direction we should be travelling in, and I think that's where people should be putting their focus.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, I'll go back to a quote which I think is the most poignant quote I've heard since September 4, 2010 from Dutch Leonard, the Professor of Public Affairs from Harvard University. Been in Christchurch, he specialises in post-disaster recovery, community recovery. He said, "As you recreate Christchurch, you must recreate it to ride the great tailwinds of our time, not the tailwinds of yesterday."
Joanna?
I think that's a great quote, Peter. I think one of the things we need to do as a community, and I invite you all to engage in this, is actually to celebrate the wins when we achieve them, celebrate the good things. And it's not just the big ones, it's not just the terrace or the crossing or some of that tremendous work that Stephen Collins, who I think is here, has already done, but it's also celebrating the little things that are happening in our community, the communities. The Barrington Playground, I think, is just a wonderful example of what we can achieve when we enable our communities.
Please, a big hand for the best brains in the business.